Coming up on tonight's UAP news show, Congress comments on UFOs and alien bodies, UAPs overseas, Michio Kaku on the 3 levels of civilization and the probability of non-human life forms, and NASA and SpaceX make history. Hey there, beautiful souls. It's your girl, Allie, and we're back at it again for another episode of UAP Society's weekly UAP and UFO news show. We've combed through this past week's most exciting, intriguing, and informative happenings, and I'm stoked to get started. Tonight, I'm riding solo as my co-host and partner in crime, Justin, is out of town on a work trip, so it'll be just me tonight. But have no fear, the news is here. You're in for a treat as we bring you the latest and greatest UAP and UFO news. So find your seats, strap in, and get ready to go on a galactic ride with us. Up first, Congress comments on UFOs and alien bodies. Congress had a lot to say this week about UFOs and even alien bodies. Washington, D.C. journalist Matt Laslo with Ask a Poll UAPs broke the story of Congress having a classified meeting in which they were allegedly shown alien bodies. That tweet reads, News. Reps Anna Paulina and Matt Gaetz shown video of bodies, source tells Ask a Poll. Exclusive. Listen to Luna's response. Then, the next day, he follows up with another tweet saying, Updated. Added the statement from Matt Gaetz confirming he attended a classified briefing with Anna Paulina. So, there you go, right? Matt Laslo also appears on the Good Trouble show with Matt Ford to discuss this story. Let's take a listen to that now.
Even like this week, we put out, we broke the news on bodies from Luna. My source told me, hey, Luna and Matt Gaetz had a briefing where they saw video of bodies. So, I don't know that. I'm just told that. What do? I take that information and live on tape, live at askapoll.com, I asked Congresswoman Luna. And she goes, that's classified material. I can't discuss it. My ears immediately perk up because I'm like, she didn't say, you're fucking full of shit. Why would you ask me if I saw bodies? Yeah. Which, if I asked many other lawmakers, that would be their reaction. And so then Matt Gaetz the next day confirmed it, saying that they had the meeting. Again, not disputing what I reported in there. So now I'm just filled with questions. But seeing how people kind of on both sides of this issue reacted to that, I'm like, I don't know how, and I guess, people take that information and plug it into their worldview. I love my worldview. I'm curious. I just have more questions. But right. I did not report anything definitive this week. I reported, well, it's kind of, the meeting's confirmed. Now we have to find out who gave the briefing, where it was, all that stuff. But that's why, for me, covering this issue and covering Congress is 5-dimensional chess. And you've got to take the long view. That long view really matters, especially with all the layers on this issue.
So I want to play some of the excellent clips that you've recorded of your chasing down these lawmakers and getting them on record. And yeah, man, let's start with the first one we have from Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who has been a guest on our show. So let's play this clip from Senator Gillibrand and Matt from Ask a Poll.
On the record, yeah.
Well, what the hell was that thing flying over U.S. airspace?
Which one?
Just recently.
Oh, I didn't see it.
They announced it in the past. It just came up for like a day in my feed and then went away.
But I don't know about it.
It's so intriguing.
I'll look into it.
Because it kind of reminded me of...
So I'm very concerned, it's on the record, I'm very concerned about UAPs, particularly drone technology, aircraft technology that is constantly around our military sites. And it's a form of ubiquitous surveillance that causes grave concern for me. And we need to know, is it Russia, China, is it Russia, China, Iran, or other? Because it's highly relevant that we can function as military bases, but also it's important that we can protect secrets, and it's important that we have air superiority and domain awareness. All those things are of high concern for me. And I'm hoping that in this year's defense bill we can add more resources for sensors and detection.
I'll ask you more about that next week. Have a good one, man.
Okay, here we go. Tim Burchett.
Familiar with the issue, or is a lot of it here?
And the way I approached it to him was, look, we spent literally millions of dollars on an issue that our government says does not exist.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yet they, and now they're telling us they don't exist, but then they won't show us what they found in those studies. So that's the way I'm approaching it now to people in Congress, because they don't want the stigma of the saucers or the little green man, although several of them have seen saucers.
Did it feel like that resonated with Johnson?
Very much so. He wrote it down.
Yeah.
That's a big with Johnson. If he writes it down, it's and I just need to follow up. But honestly, I mean, we got everything else going on in that committee. So.
Yeah, especially. I get it. How long did you meet with Johnson?
A good bit. He came to Knoxville.
Yeah, I saw that.
Just a bit. Good to see you.
Yeah, copy that. Okay, I know you have to be out of here at the top of the hour, so we are going to we're going to listen to Representative Luna, who...
Nice.
Yes, this is going to be an interesting one. Here we go.
Discuss these things, you know that.
Was that classified or?
I'm sure we'll have field hearings. No comment.
No comment?
No
It's
comment.
intriguing. Have a good one, man.
Oh, did we lose him?
I'm there.
Oh, there you go. Did I cut some of the clip off, or was it really only 22 seconds?
Oh, it's short.
Okay.
I can break news in 1 second on the Hill with one wink from the
Yeah.
senator.
Copy that. So give us a summary of what you thought about what Luna had to say.
I mean, to me, what stands out is the unspoken, what she couldn't say. I mean,
That
what
part.
we have now from her and Gates is confirmed that they were in a classified setting, were briefed, and they do not disagree with my source who told me that they were shown video of bodies, recovered bodies, whatever that means. And so it was interesting when Matt Gaetz people reached out to me the next day, like his press secretary DM'd me because I had texted Gates that day asking for him to confirm or deny it. Like, that's my job. I'm not pro anything. I'm like, hey, tell me if this is bullshit because I don't want to spread bullshit. And then the next day, Gates' people were like, hey, we're going to send you a statement. And part of me was like, oh, fuck. They waited this long and now they're going to refute it? But nope, they didn't. They didn't say Laszlo's full of shit. Why is he asking about bodies? That had nothing to do with our briefing. Nope. They just said, hey, it was classified briefing. We had it and we can't discuss it.
In addition to that, Ross Coulthart also chimes in with more Congress-related UAP commentary in the following tweet. Ross Coulthart tweeted, the number of UAP is apparently huge, and that is something that the government has, the best I can say about it, downplayed, if not kept from the public, for a long time. The U.S. has downplayed the number of UFO sightings, and that was said by Senator Hawley. Now, if you look down in the comment section of that tweet, you'll find good old Mick West lurking around, and he decided to grace us with this gem of a reply. Quote, sure, it's a huge number if you include the balloons. How many genuine anomalies are there? Any? End quote. So I'm just curious why this clown's so fixated on balloons. Like, I wonder what it's actually going to take for him to take this phenomenon seriously. Last week, we covered the story of Danny Sheehan talking about the Senate Intelligence Committee having alien DNA. And now this week, we hear about Congress having a classified briefing in which they potentially saw videos of alien bodies. So something is afoot. And right before I was about to record this video, the next clip was brought to my attention. According to the weaponized duo, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, this alien bodies meeting was a bunk. Let's watch that clip now.
At the exact moment that we're sitting there with Congresswoman Luna, this story breaks around the world about her. Her and Matt Gaetz, her colleague from Florida, had supposedly had a secret briefing, maybe classified, where they were shown video of an alien. And that story goes all over. Congresswoman Luna does not comment about it. She says, I'm no comment. I can't talk about it, which adds fuel to that fire. And it becomes this big scandalous story on social media, whipped into a frenzy, I think, on purpose by people who want to paint her in a bad light. Now, we have some insight into the legitimacy of the claim that was made. I don't know how far we should go, but I'm just going to say it now. If we have to cut it out, we will. But the story that's floating around is not legit. Okay, from what we know, there was no such video that was shown to her and Congressman Gaetz So somebody got their information wrong. Maybe it was meant to make them look silly or make them look sensational or to, I don't know, whip up followers on Twitter or X or whatever it was. But we can say with some confidence that story, as reported, is not accurate.
As reported, that story is not accurate. There's always a kernel of truth when these things come out. And so that's something for her to talk about, not for us to talk about.
Right.
So what do you think is right? Were alien bodies discussed or not? Does a no comment reply equate to confirmation or speculation? Will we hear more from Rep. Luna and or Matt Laszlo regarding the accuracy of the story? Who knows? We will definitely keep you updated. So stay tuned to find out and let me know in the comments section below what you think's going on. Up next, UAPs overseas. This week, 3 different countries from all across the globe made some kind of commentary on UAPs. Which countries were they and what did they have to say? Let's get into it and find out. A tweet from Ross Coulthart says, acknowledgement in the Chinese media that China's government is now seriously engaging with the UAP mystery as a national defense threat. Maybe the Department of Defense and ex-DoD Aero boss Dr. Kirkpatrick will suggest the Chinese are just misidentifying their beautiful national bird, the red-crowned crane, for something anomalous. Love that dig there at Kirkpatrick. Matt and Matt from the last story also spent a lot of time throwing shade at him in the full-length version of that video that I highlighted earlier. So if you too are not a fan of Kirkpatrick pants, or if you just want a good informative laugh, grab some marshmallows and pull up a seat to that video because they definitely roast his ass. And so does Ross Coulthart and Michio Kaku in a video I'm going to feature later in the show, so make sure to stay tuned till the end. Getting back to the story, though, in that tweet, Ross provided a piece of information to give credence to China's experience with UAPs. From an event that happened back on October 19th, 1998 in the Qing County of China, the description reads, 4 different radar stations in Hebei Province, China, pick up an unknown target moving above a military flight training base near Quanzhou. At least 140 observers at the base see the object as a small star that grows larger and larger as it descends. It has a mushroom-shaped dome at the top and a flat bottom covered with rotating lights. The base commander scrambles a Shenyang J-6 fighter, which gets to within 2.5 miles of the UFO over Qing County, whereupon it abruptly shoots upward. The UFO plays a cat and mouse with the jet, appearing and reappearing. Permission to fire upon the UFO is denied by the ground control. The fighter is forced to return after running low on fuel, and the UFO disappears before other aircraft arrive. Interesting. So, in addition to China, Europe is also hopping on this disclosure train. On February 28th, 2024, Skyfire News tweeted, member of the European Parliament speaks on UFOs being addressed by the European Union. Quote, there's growing evidence of understanding that we don't really know some phenomena that happens in our space, in our civil aviation, also in the seas, and that's why I think we should have a very scientific approach to this topic, end quote. Francisco G., member of the European Parliament. Let's hear from Francisco himself in this next clip.
I have the pleasure of welcoming today Francisco Guerrero, MEP. Please, Guillaume, begin the interview.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Mr. Guerrero. Thank you for being here, and thank you for asking your question to the European Parliament. Of course, you appeared in the, so to speak, the UAP scene. I'm sure many people have, in America in particular, have discovered the existence of the European Parliament thanks to your intervention. So just for that, thank you very much. And so I want to start with this first question. A lot of us have grown up with the idea that UFOs were essentially a Hollywood creation. So what made you realize that UAP were not visionary or fictitious?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Just to let our listeners from the US know that we are not a federation, so we are a group of countries that work together with several European institutions. And I represent the European Parliament. So it's a parliament that is elected by the member states to represent European values and some group political ideas. I would not jump into any conclusions for what these UAPs may be. I would just say that there's a growing evidence of understanding that we don't really know some phenomena that happens in our space, in our civil aviation, and also in the seas, and that's why I think we should have like a very scientific approach on this topic. So also not entering the noise that sometimes happen with this kind of topic. So my approach, and I think the approach from everyone that is serious about this issue, is that understanding there's something that exists that was also now reported by official institutions, namely in the US, that clearly stated with some tape recordings and with some video footage that there's some kind of UAPs that's happened, and we don't really understand the full length of the phenomena. And so that's why we should have more scientific evaluation, a better scrutiny of what's happening, so then we can, step by step, understand the circumstances that this phenomena happen, and then try to draw a line from a possible conclusion or possible several conclusions. And I think that's the most scientific approach that we can have.
Very cool to see all of these different countries coming together to have serious talks about UAPs and UFOs. It's not a joke, you guys. It's really not. And Canada did not want to be left out, so they had something to say about UAPs also. A CTV News article called Canadian Government's Top Science Advisor Provides Update on Official UFO Study reads, the Canadian Government's top scientific advisor says her office will release a public UFO report by early fall. Speaking to lawmakers in Ottawa this week, Mona Nemer also said that there can be more done to make UFO information available to Canadians. Quote, I think that there is room for improvement in terms of the gathering, reporting on the information, and also making it available to researchers and to the public, end quote, Nemer told Parliament's Science and Research Committee on Tuesday. Quote, I can appreciate that some may be of national security concern, but I believe that by and large, that you can make the information public. And I think that's the best way to mitigate conspiracy theories and disinformation, end quote. As Chief Science Advisor of Canada, Nemer heads an arm's-length office that reports directly to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry. In March 2023, ctvnews.ca revealed the existence of the office's Sky Canada project, which is the first known official Canadian UFO study in nearly 30 years. Quote, we should be on track for releasing the report at the end of the summer, early fall, end quote, Nemer said on Tuesday. Quote, I think our report is going to be quite fascinating on the historic front, so stay tuned, end quote. And just so you know, links to all of these tweets, videos, and the link to the website to Sky Canada Project can be found in the description box below, so make sure to give that a look-see. Up next, Professor Michio Kaku on the 3 levels of civilization and probability of non-human life forms. This week, 7 News Spotlight, for the first time, aired the full video of the talk between investigative journalist Ross Coulthart and renowned quantum physicist Professor Michio Kaku. You may recognize some of this, as it was recorded back in June of 2022, and portions of it were already aired in their Need to Know documentary, as well as their UFO UAP special. But let's take a look at this next clip and see what Michio Kaku has to say.
So in other words, what we're talking about is a very advanced technology, which is not for us. We're talking about energy on a scale that exceeds the energy of the solar system.
Okay, but somebody's doing that, aren't they? I mean, these objects, do you think that what these anomalous objects are, they do appear to be intelligently controlled, don't they?
When you talk to the average physicist about going faster than the speed of light, you get what is called the giggle factor. Their eyes kind of like roll up to the heavens and they start to laugh and giggle. And they say, look, the distance between stars is so great that it would take thousands of years to reach the nearby stars. And what sane extraterrestrial civilization is going to invest thousands of years to reach the planet Earth? It's just not common sense. However, that assumes that the aliens are maybe 100 years more advanced than us. Open your mind to the possibility that they could be thousands, millions of years more advanced than us. Then new forms of technology begin to open up. We're not talking about the very edge of our understanding of the quantum theory and general relativity. At that point, new phenomena start to enter into the picture, phenomena that allow you to exceed the speed of light. Stephen Hawking, the late great cosmologist, even said that yes, with wormholes, it may be possible to break the light barrier using Einstein's theory and the quantum theory. And so open your minds to the possibility that they could be millions of years ahead of us.
So that's the theoretical possibilities that you say are plausible, possible. Something's doing that, though, isn't it? In our atmosphere, under our ocean, in orbit.
When we talk about going faster than the speed of light, you have to leave the technology of the planet Earth. We physicists rank civilizations by energy. A type 1 civilization is planetary. They control the weather, they control earthquakes, volcanoes, anything planetary they control, sort of like living in the world of Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon. Then there's type 2, which is stellar. These civilizations control the power of a star, the output of a star. Like, for example, a Dyson sphere, which envelops an entire star and uses that energy to propel its machines. And then we have type 3. Type 3 is the energy of a galaxy. They roam the galactic space lanes. Now, Star Trek, for example, would be a typical type 2 civilization. You can colonize a few star systems, but not much more than the so-called alpha sector of the Milky Way galaxy. That's Star Trek. Star Wars would be type 3, where you roam across the galactic space lanes. Now, these civilizations that we're hypothesizing about, can they have hyperdrive? And the answer is possibly yes. By the time you're type 3, you can access the Planck energy. The Planck energy is the energy you find in the heart of a black hole, the Big Bang. It's the point at which space becomes unstable. Wormholes start to emerge.
Is this also what they call zero-point energy?
This is beyond zero-point energy. This is the ultimate energy of the universe itself, the Planck energy. That's the energy that I work with. When I publish papers, I publish at the Planck energy, the energy at which space and time become unstable. For example, let's say I have some water and I heat it up. What happens? It starts to boil. Bubbles form that expand, and you get what's called a phase transition. Now let's talk about empty space. Empty space that's heated up to the Planck energy. What happens? Bubbles form. Little bubbles. These bubbles are wormholes, gateways to perhaps other parts of space and time. And so these bubbles is probably how our universe got started. Our universe was probably one of these bubbles floating in the vacuum, and one of these bubbles expanded to create our universe. So if you are type 3, you can begin to play with baby universes. You can begin to play with the Planck energy, the energy at which space becomes unstable, that space becomes full of bubbles, and these bubbles are gateways.
Statistically, knowing the incredible, awesome size of our universe, there's every likelihood, absolute certainty really, isn't there, that there are civilizations, non-human civilizations, out there far more advanced than us.
When you look at pictures from the Webb Space Telescope and the Hubble Space Telescope, realize that many of these pictures are just one little pinpoint in the night sky, magnified to give you these gorgeous pictures you see on the TV, right? Well, that little dot, that pinpoint of light, contains trillions of stars. Each dot in that photograph that you see on national television, each dot is a galaxy. That's 100 billion stars in each dot. And how many dots are there in that pinpoint? Billions. What we're talking about is a photograph of trillions of stars. Think about that for a moment. The probability that we're the only game in town is a fraction, the inverse of trillions. And so you begin to realize that, of course, they're out there. Of course. Why should we be special? For example, look at what we're made out of. We're made out of proteins and amino acids. We find them in the heart of meteors. We find amino acids in gas clouds, nebula, thousands of light years from planet Earth. We see the ingredients of life, the amino acids, everywhere we look in the universe.
A favorite phrase of mine that comes to mind when I hear his words is that the universe is teeming with life. Statistically speaking, if you think about it, the probability of life existing solely on planet Earth is like slim to none, okay? With all those stars out there, all those planets living in all those trillions of galaxies, there's just no way we're the only ones. I want to share this poem by Nikita Gill with you guys and see how it resonates. We have calcium in our bones, iron in our veins, carbon in our souls, and nitrogen in our brains. 93% stardust with souls made of flames. We are all just stars that have people names. I think that's cute. I hope you guys too. And speaking of life in space, let's move on to our last story for the evening. NASA and SpaceX make history. NASA and SpaceX made history this week by sending 4 humans to space. Who were they and what was their mission? Let's find out. Last week, NASA's Johnson Space Center tweeted, "Go for launch. NASA's SpaceX Crew 8 is preparing for their launch to the space station no earlier than March 1st. From 250 miles above Earth, the crew will embark on a 6-month microgravity research mission and will benefit the future of human spaceflight." Then on March 3rd, 2024, Space.com published an article called SpaceX Launches Crew 8 Astronaut Mission to International Space Station for NASA that says, SpaceX launched another crew of 4 to the International Space Station tonight, March 3rd. A SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket lifted off with 4 astronauts of NASA's Crew 8 mission at 10:53 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight from Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida. Quote, the rocket's 2 stages separated 2.5 minutes after launch. About 5 minutes after that, the first stage returned to Earth at Cape Canaveral, acing the company's 204th consecutive booster landing. Then, 12 minutes and 15 seconds after liftoff, the Falcon 9's upper stage deployed the mission's Crew Dragon capsule named Endeavour into low Earth orbit, or LEO. The astronauts of Crew 8, now on their way to the space station, are NASA's Matthew Dominic, commander, Michael Barrett, pilot, and Jeanette Epps, mission specialist, as well as mission specialist Alexander Grebenkin of Russia's space agency Roscosmos. All crew members are new to space aside from Barrett, who is making his third spaceflight, end quote. Additionally, later in the article, it reads, tonight's launch was the first flight of this particular Falcon 9 rocket, making it the 6th time SpaceX has used an unflown rocket in a crewed launch. On the flip side, the Endeavour capsule is a seasoned veteran. Endeavour famously flew on the first crewed test flight of the Crew Dragon spacecraft on May 30th, 2020, ferrying NASA astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley to the ISS. Tonight's liftoff occurred a few days later than expected. It was pushed back several times due to bad weather. So there was bad weather. They were supposed to launch, I think, like 2 or 3 different times, but the missions were scrubbed because they didn't think that it was safe for them to be moving around. So they held off until this happened. And speaking of liftoff, in this next clip, we get to see highlights of that launch and witness history for ourselves.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition, engines full power, and liftoff of NASA Crew 8. Go Falcon, go SpaceX, and go NASA.
Endeavour ascends, a beacon of human ambition. 1.7 million pounds of thrust now propelling Falcon 9 and Crew 8. Vehicle is pitching down range.
Nominal power and telemetry.
And we are getting good call-outs on propulsion.
Falcon 9 is supersonic. Stage 1 throttle up.
1 Bravo.
So with that call out,
Copy 1 Bravo.
we know that Falcon 9 is throttling back up, and that 1 call out for 1 Bravo means that we are in the second and final abort mode for the first stage, continuing to get good performance from Falcon 9. Now at this point, the crew are already pulling over 2 Gs. And with that call out, we know that that engine chill for MVAC, which is our second stage engine, has now also begun. That also means we have a couple of events that are going to happen in rapid succession. First is that chill on the MVAC engine, and then we'll have main engine cutoff, or MECO, where the 9 engines on the first stage of Falcon 9 will cut off ahead of first and second stage separation. Then the Merlin vacuum engine on board the second stage will ignite and carry the Crew 8 astronauts to orbit, while the first stage begins its journey back to Earth. At this point in the flight, the 9 Merlin engines are starting to throttle down, and we're standing... There's that call out for throttle down, and we're standing by for MECO.
MECO. Stage separation confirmed. And back ignition.
Q Alpha.
Copy Q Alpha.
So those incredible views on your screen, and of course the cheering behind me, means that we have had successful main engine cutoff, stage separation, and ignition of our MVAC engine on board stage 2. We are also in 2 Alpha for the aborts if needed.
And so Crew 8 is now traveling at over 4,000 miles per hour. We're continuing to get good call outs, everything going really smoothly today. Hearing good call outs following second stage cutoff. The crew is in a nominal or as expected orbit. That is great news. That launch escape system. And we are getting our first view of Crew 8 inside Endeavour, 3 of them in space for the very first time. So if you're just joining us this evening, we had a successful launch of Crew 8. They're on their way to the International Space Station. The first stage has already returned to Earth and landed successfully, and the second stage has shut down, and we're awaiting separation, and you see it on your screen right there.
Dragon
and Endeavour now flying free.
Dragon, SpaceX, this is your launch chief engineer. Welcome to orbit. It truly is our greatest honor for you to trust us to launch you into space. It's been a pleasure working with you, and we trust that all the science and work you're about to do will continue to move humanity further towards the stars. We hope you enjoyed the ride, and thank you for flying on Falcon 9. Please send our regards to Crew 7, and make sure to remind them you just wanted to be fashionably late. I'll hand it off to the launch director for a few words.
Dragon LD, hope the ride was as awesome as a Cybertruck. Have a safe journey to the space station, and we look forward to seeing you when you get home. Thank you for flying SpaceX.
So cheers to NASA and SpaceX for that successful launch, and I look forward to learning what they discover or uncover in their missions up there. And good luck to those 4 astronauts that are in space, especially the 3 that are up there for their very first time. Friendly reminder that all of the links to all of the sources found in the show can be found in the description box below, so make sure to check that out in more detail. And just a quick reminder before I head out, I just wanted to let you know that Darcy Weir documentary called Transmedium, Fastmovers, and USOs that we covered a few shows ago is now officially available to rent on Amazon for $3.99. So make sure to check that out and let us know what you learned about USOs and where you think those underwater alien bases are located. And that concludes this week's UAP Society Weekly UAP and UFO News Show. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and while you're here, do us a favor, smash that like button, click subscribe, ring our little notification bell, drop a lovely comment down below, and share this video with your family and friends to help us spread the good word. Let's raise the collective consciousness together in unity. All right, guys, much love, peace, and namaste.
The physical world, a spiritual world. To that I have a very simple answer. Reality itself is not a concept.